Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of BrickFeed. This week it's episode 153, and we're gonna do a bit of a special episode. We're gonna talk about LEGO Dreamzzz. I'm your host, Sakota.
I am Massa.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Bendo.
And welcome to BrickFeed.
Don't you mean DREAMZZZ-CAST?
DREAMZZZ-CAST?
Dreamcast? Sega Dreamcast?
Do I love the Sega Dreamcast?
DREAMZZZ-CAST?
Yeah, doesn't quite roll off the tongue as well.
No. Yeah, for everyone here, today's not your typical BrickFeed episode where we usually just talk about sets and not really story. But today, we'll be talking about the first season, or like the first 10 episodes of LEGO Dreamzzz. Because we don't really have a podcast specifically for that, so we just thought we're gonna do it at BrickFeed.
Nor do I really think it would be beneficial to have one.
Yeah.
I think that stuff with Dreams, if it's lucky enough to continue, will be so infrequent and so kind of isolated in batches that it merits just talking about it as it comes. So it's not worth having like assets and stuff made for it, you know.
Also,
but I still want to talk about it because it's interesting.
Yes. I want to get some things out of the way in the beginning. First, we have some beautiful art from Josh on screen right now. He made of the Dreamzzz characters. Oh, yeah. So everyone, big thank you to Josh.
I'm seeing that now. That's so epic. It looks so good.
Then, second, our usual plugs. First of all, we're Keep the Peace. If you like what you see, please leave us a like and subscribe. If you want to support us more, you can go to patreon.com/the TTV channel. If you want to talk all things LEGO, you can go to boards.ttvchannel.com. And if you want to be updated about all our live streams and everything, you can go to twitter.com @the TTV channel.
That's so epic.
Well and done. Yeah. And also, I had some technical issues on our last BrickFeed. I hope they're fixed now. Please let me know how the audio is, if there are any problems. I have to monitor everything for today, and I want to test if all of that is fixed now. But yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. But with all of that out of the way, I think we can get into the discussion of LEGO Dreamzzz.
There is one more major
There's one more thing. Yeah. So, we're going to talk about the first 10 episodes of Dreamzzz. There are 10 more episodes out there. Those have been released accidentally, and we have not seen those yet, and we don't want to talk about those yet. We still want to do reacts for those when they are officially out, and yeah, I think like that's why we're gonna keep speculation for like the future a bit like low today. But yeah, it's kind of an unfortunate situation.
Well, the issue is they came out on like parts unknown. I'm still not entirely clear as to the source of where they came from. Their episode quality was incredibly crusty, like a burnt grilled cheese kind of crusty, and I didn't really want to watch them in that format because we're doing reactions in the cool, crisp 1080p HD of Netflix, and I kind of enjoyed that. And then also, we were like, oh, well, these aren't out officially. They're probably going to get taken down. And what do you know?
Yeah, I think they did.
They got taken down.
Yeah.
So, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to pass. We're going to pass on this. But rest assured, whenever they come out officially, we will still be talking about them and doing reacts. And I ask that anybody who may have seen them or who may know things about them, please do not spoil. That is all I ask of you.
All right. Before we get into the general discussion, I want to give like a quick overall season recap of pretty much everything that happened in the season. We start out with I mean, just very quick. So like,
LJ comes in with a steel chair.
No, I can't do that like LJ. Just the general premise of the show. It's about a group of kids that later become the Dream Chasers. Something happens in the beginning with Lunia's hourglass, and we don't really know what happened there yet. But after that, they kind of share dreams. They learn to dreamcraft, and they fight the Nightmare King. Basically, their quest is to repair Lunia's hourglass. But then antics ensue. No, things happen. That's basically the overall premise for those first 10 episodes. I mean, there's also Sheep Week, I guess. But yeah, that's just what overall happens in this season.
Some guy dies in the first like 5 minutes, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's like Giles Panton's character.
Yeah.
Who has a super cool design, but then he just like dissolves.
It's a pretty weird intro. I'm not really sure like why they necessarily chose that route to bother giving this incredibly cool, distinct design. It makes me wonder if we're gonna see that character again, but I kind of doubt it because they seem to pretty definitively die.
Maybe in like flashbacks. I don't know, like how they got it.
But yeah, that intro has a lot of questions still open. Like, what does Lunia's hourglass do there? Who's that character? Like, it's all a bit odd. But I feel like that's stuff they can work with in the future. So I don't think that's necessarily like a negative.
I'm sure it was done intentionally because if they opened it up, they wanted to have this like aura of mystery about things. You know, they probably felt it was a good intro point. And I mean, to their credit, I was definitely hooked pretty much immediately. It hooked me a lot more than Shima's intro did, with its flashback into recap of flashback. Yeah. Or Nexo Knight's intro did, which I've completely forgotten about. I've like repressed all memory of Nexo Knights.
It's been a while, but I think it starts out with them like in the Knights Academy, with them doing like their final exam thing, right? It's been a while.
The first episode's the only one I watched, and I can't even remember what happened. So.
It probably ended with monsters attacking, and then they get an extra upgrade, and they defeat all the monsters.
Just like every episode. I mean,
it's safe to assume.
So, Dream's intro, very cool. I was engaged basically immediately, just from kind of the tone that it put forth. Like, it was obviously kind of goofy, but also kind of spooky at the same time, which I feel is what they were going for.
Yeah.
It was neat.
So, what do you guys think about like the overall premise of the show? Like the whole thing with like dream world versus real world, dream crafting, all that.
I think it's awesome. It's like infinite possibility.
Yeah.
With what you can do.
What I like about it so much is I feel like it's so inherently Lego in a way that like a lot of other Lego shows aren't. Like you look at other Lego themes and it's like, yeah, they're Lego, but they don't really use that in a story sense. And obviously here they'd never really bring up the fact that it's Lego. Yeah. But the idea of creativity and like just the different like things that the characters come up with to dreamcraft and stuff.
It's got the themes.
It's in line with Lego, so it's like, well, it's not like as on the nose as like the Lego movie. It's still, you know, has the aspects of it that I feel like is like for any kid watching is going to be inspired to want to, you know, make their own dream creations, especially with the sets and everything. So I think it's pretty cool.
I think they already established it very well in like the first episode where they like, for the first time, Izzy and Mateo share a dream, and they're like in this landing area with all of the doors and those floating dream worlds around. It kind of like establishes the idea how many like different possibilities, completely unique dream worlds there are out there. So I feel like from a conceptual point, they could like tell so many stories in dreams.
Yeah, that's definitely what I like most about it. I feel like it, like, skipping ahead slightly, but like I like the show, I like the characters, I like the plot, I like the animation. Are any of those things the best thing ever? No. And is it even necessarily the best Lego show in its specific aspects? No. But I do feel that the theming of dreams, the concept, the idea, has the most legs, I guess you could say, because it's very clearly being made to be a Lego story theme, not just a story theme made out of Lego.
Right.
It's like mixing the brand values and that spirit of like creator 3-in-1 set, and it's just giving it a story. And I think that's really cool.
I think another interesting thing about I guess the world of dreams is that the real world is just actually the real world. That's not some kind of fantasy universe like Bionicle or Shima or Nexo.
Yeah, there's a weird amount of like pop culture references, which is not bad. I just have grown to not expect it.
Yeah,
it's interesting, especially for like a Lego IP. And usually you'd see things like even if it's not like this whole fantasy thing, it's like more of like a Lego City type of deal where it's like everything's like very overly like kind of simplified to be like the Lego branded city type stuff. But,
they have
but here it's like
and
yeah, but here there's a lot of personality with the town, and even if there's not a whole lot of locations, even just like the school that they go to and like the science lab.
I mean,
it's just like it's really
it was
cool.
set there just straight up in Brooklyn, right? That's where it takes place.
So it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about it. Like it's technically like it is the real world. So.
Yeah, and Zoe mentioned she's from California. Yeah,
that's so interesting. I completely
it's the
forgot
references to things like that and the things like Lord of the Rings and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and Ninjago.
It's what
funnily enough.
Yeah.
Which does so Ninjago is a show with a.
Yeah, that reference like sent me down a spiral. Does that mean the Ninjago is live action in this universe?
Oh my goodness!
You saw it on Izzy's tablet. It is an anime, right? But they only showed the absolute
but they were just
worst.
watching that episode. They only
we gotta remember it's the absolute worst.
Here's my theory is all of Ninjago is anime in that universe because there are 3 Ninjago references. One is in those first 10 episodes, at least. One is when Izzy watches the absolute worst on her tablet. The next one is like the graffiti with the ninja symbols, but that doesn't indicate anyone. But the third one is Fuji Buff. And because Fuji Buff has like a, I guess, anime 2D, but realistic, not Lego minifigure style, then I assume that maybe Ninjago just looks like that.
If they're all Lego, then how do they know what like standard human anatomy looks like?
Yeah, that's kind of weird, right?
I can't believe that Fuji Buff made it into the show.
That's so funny.
So
good.
Like, what are the odds? Like, it's not even made by Wild Brick.
Nope.
It's made by it's so weird.
But I mean, Tommy is involved.
That's true.
I mean, and it's still Lego. You know what I mean? So I get what they're doing.
I'm sure it was Tommy's doing, and more power to him. Pop off.
But I think it's also a very smart way to do it because this is like, quote unquote, the real world. So it makes sense that like Ninjago exists. I mean, maybe not like as prominently, of course.
Does this mean that Lego exists in this world, like in Denmark?
Oh no! Oh god!
No! Now we're getting to
so
the mind.
What does Lego look like in this world?
Lego sets.
Does Lego just look like smaller, like the smaller versions of what they look like? But in that case, like in this world, they'd be like small humans. Like they wouldn't have like the stylized.
Does Lego Dreamzzz exist in Lego Dreamzzz? Wait.
This is the rabbit hole I'm not comfortable going down.
Yeah, like if Lego like made a minifigure, what would it look like to them? Would it just be like a smaller version, like
a tiny human?
Oh, I hate this.
We're asking questions that we're not able to handle the answer of.
This demands fan art. The tiny human,
the tiny human Lego, the Fuji Buff little like figurine.
Exactly. I think, I mean, just Dreams just works really well in that space. I like that it exists in that way to have like its own identity, its own world, its own like theming. It feels very unique. Unlike, I mean, I remember when Shima and Nexonites were coming out, they got a lot of criticism because it felt very much like they were just trying to kind of ape Ninjago.
Which I don't think is fair. Especially
I don't think it's
Shima.
Necessarily fair. I get it though. I get it because they're both themes with like a team of like multicolored people who drive vehicles around. Yeah, I mean you had the good guys and the bad guys, and they all had vehicles and raiders and tanks and cars and a spinner Speedor's equivalent style play feature. Granted, that's more the themes and not the shows.
Every Lego theme at some point.
But I do feel that Dreams has more of an identity to it.
Yeah, I agree
because
with
it
that.
avoids a lot of those tropes.
I also think that like Dreams is not like any Lego theme we've seen before. It's not like, for example, Nexo was like castle but sci-fi, and Ninjago was like the old ninja stuff but like a modern take on that. But Dreams is like a completely original new idea.
Just Dreams. It's
Yeah.
literally just like a 3-in-1 creator story theme.
Yeah,
Basically.
I guess.
That's kind of how I look at it. The alternate builds and stuff, which are its core big feature. It's all about that creativity.
Yeah.
And if you want to know more about creativity, check out
True.
the early reviews
Yeah,
of LEGO
we
Dreams.
should probably
on
plug
Keep
that.
the
We
Peace.
have a bunch of Dreams reviews. We have more coming, right? We also have
A
one
lot
more
more
Ninjago
coming.
review coming, right, Josh?
Mhm.
One more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
a lot of
we got a
cool
lot more
stuff.
Dreams coming.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. I love it. I think that its potential is massive. And the show pretty well encapsulates it. With a few minor exceptions. Like I feel a lot of things from the sets come in very late. But then
Mhm.
again, we've also only
it's
seen
also first
half of
10
it.
episodes. Yeah.
I don't know, I guess should we talk about the characters?
Yeah, I think we should get to the characters. They're very important for the whole thing.
Who's your favorite character?
Me?
Anyone. You go
I think
first. You're the
Mateo.
host.
Mateo? For Josh? What did you say, Josh?
Mateo.
Yeah. I can see that.
As someone who used to be like the anxious like artist who doesn't share art with anybody, I like resonate with Mateo a lot.
Respectable.
I think my favorite is Izzy because she's very high energy and very entertaining in the show.
My
boy
favorite-
Cooper.
We love Cooper.
Oh yeah, Cooper's actually really great too.
My favorite character is the Night Hunter because he walks incredibly slowly, and I just like that. It's just endearing. But in all seriousness, it's Izzy. Her personality is just Naruto run, and I say that as a compliment.
I will say, even though like Logan is very much an antagonistic character in a lot of ways, he's super entertaining.
I mean, he's just Vincent Tong. He exudes Vincent Tong's like natural charisma.
Yeah.
Good. Like in everything he does. I also feel he has had the most work put into him out of anyone in the cast as far as developing like growth and an arc and a sense of progression.
Yeah,
Logan definitely took like
Mm.
top billing personality wise.
I can see that.
I have a few qualms with how they did the whole Logan Mateo dynamic. But
It feels
we
like
can get
it-
into
it-
that later.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hold it till later. You're right.
I
I
mean,
mean, you can get into it if you want, right? Or does anyone have any more favorite characters they want to talk about?
I mean, my favorite character in all of Lego is the Nightmare King, but that's
Really?
mainly just
All
for his
Lego?
minifigure.
wow.
Like seriously, he's dethroned Lady Bone Demon for my
No.
favorite minifigure of all
Really?
time.
Okay.
I think she's still my favorite character of all time, but Nightmare King just has that cool cape. It's epic.
He does have a cool cape.
Yeah, I mean, he's a cool design. I don't think he was like a super strong character in the season. He's very cliche.
He was very
villain.
entertaining. He was entertaining. When it comes to cliche villains, I appreciate that they went with like the more comedic route.
Yeah,
I
if
think
they
it
tried to
definitely
put-
helps him.
Yeah, if they tried to play him like completely seriously, I don't think it would have worked.
No, I agree.
I don't think the same compliment really applies to the other villain.
The Night Hunter.
Yeah, the Night Hunter.
Yeah, no,
Because they
in all
try to play the
seriousness-
Night Hunter more like not for laughs, but like whenever they try to do comedy with him, it's not really as funny. And he's
No.
just kind of like he's not very threatening past his initial like design, and like the soundtrack they give him is really cool, but he's not very competent at the end of the day,
yeah,
which is
he
kind
did
of
like
disappointing.
he failed like in everything he did. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
he's like He's like if Red Sun like wasn't like entertaining. He's like Red
Wow.
Sun, but not entertaining at all.
I think he is
And without the
definitely
charisma.
a complete disappointment of a character. I do not like
Yeah.
the Night Hunter one bit.
It's upsetting because
I mean,
I was
I
really
like his
with that
design.
design.
He
I
has
was
some
really
cool
hoping he would
action
be like really
scenes.
cool.
And there seems to be some like backstory to him with Zoe. With like the whole thing that he stole her song or something like that. And then like that might tie into the story about like her losing her friend group. But I don't
Possibly.
we don't know exactly how that works yet in those first 10 episodes.
I wish we would get more on Zoe, and I'm sure we will. But
I'm sure
I wish
we will. Yeah.
I wish it had happened already. She's the one I definitely feel like I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop with her character.
Yeah,
And like what her gimmick is, what her whole deal is.
she's another one where I was like, wow, like really cool design, but like not a lot going on with the actual character. I would like to see more. But then you have characters like Cooper, who like I was not looking forward to really at all, but then like they pleasantly surprised me with like the interesting like depth they give Cooper. Because why Cooper's my favorite is not necessarily like because of what they've done to him yet, but like I see potential there with there's like the sequence where they are all like in the sandcastle.
Yeah.
And they have like these nightmares. And all the rest of the characters are like, oh, like these superficial like, I'm scared of this. But then Cooper's is like, you're a disappointment to your family.
Yeah.
And then later in another episode, he's like talking about, oh, he's so stressed, he has so much homework, and he feels like he's like not good enough for his parents. And I'm like, this is like a kind of like interesting character that they're not like actually exploring. I wish they would explore it more.
It's interesting how this show handles.
But it's like in the background. Like there's the story with Cooper in the background. I just feel bad for him.
It's
but
very.
Like, I'm really interested to see if they do anything with that.
I think that it's a bit clear that their main focus was more on like Mateo, Logan, maybe Izzy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But they did a lot for Cooper in like smaller moments. You learn a lot about like his family, that they have like very high expectations of him, and that weight is kind of like hard on him.
So I feel like he has like the most potential of all the characters, because I feel like he's given the most like real struggles out of the rest of them. The rest seem very generic, like kids show stuff. Like, oh, Mateo's he's got to learn to dream craft, and he doesn't want to let his team down and stuff like that. And Logan has to learn to like kind of. I'm forgetting a lot of specifics because it's been a while since.
I disagree with that with Mateo. I think that I think that whole Dreamcraft thing is like something more. Because I mentioned that he has like he doesn't like he likes to draw, but he doesn't like to show anybody because he's afraid of like people judging him or like critiquing him or whatever. And I think that kind of relates to like dream crafting. Like he knows how to do it, but he just can't do it like when people are around because he's like afraid that they're gonna like judge what he's like done or something.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know if I'd say the show really explored that to its greatest potential, but neither did it with the stuff with Cooper. So it's all a thing of like these characters have a lot of really good potential. I'm interested to see if they do more with that. Like if they did that with Mateo, where they had like a whole arc about him like feeling more comfortable with his like drawings, which ties into his dream creations. I think that would be really cool.
Mm-hmm. They did a little bit with that. Or that kind of relates to that, and that I don't know. Was it the episode where they're like in the teacher's dream, where he's like basically no, I think it was different. It was basically where he's like in the real world he feels really like useless, but in the dream world is where he feels like more comfortable because he's good at like dream crafting, and that's where he has like the confidence to talk to Zoe.
True, yeah.
So they kind of have like that split where it's like the opposite to Logan, basically, feels useless in the dream world, but he's like the cool guy in the real world.
Right. And that kind of creates a lot of the conflict with like the jealousy and stuff. Like alternating between both the dream world, which is a cool thing because I like how they use the real world and the dream world to kind of tell different stories. that ultimately kind of tie together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that's the show's strongest aspect, is just its use of the fact that we're not spending the entire time in the dream world, which is what I kind of expected.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
The
spending
fact that
enough
there's a
time in
split
both.
is very awesome.
Yeah, and it creates like ideas for stories that wouldn't have been possible otherwise, which I think is really cool.
I do want to talk about like the balance of dream world to real world a bit, but I think we probably finish up about the characters first. There are some we haven't
Probably.
talked about at
Probably.
all. For example, like Mr. Oz, who's
Oh,
also
yeah.
like a big character.
He's all right.
He's fine.
I-
He's like your average mentor.
I feel like I don't have as much to say about him as I feel like I should after 10 episodes. Just because he doesn't. I mean, he has some kind of history
Yeah.
that I feel we haven't had explained to us yet. And maybe if that happens in the future, we will. But other than that, he's just kind of like the de facto agent at this part of the world.
I'm waiting for
He's
his
the exposition character in a lot of ways. He's the introduction
waiting
to the
for
Night
his-
Bureau.
his
Yeah.
past to catch up with him inevitably one of these days.
That's what I think would really make him
Wait.
make him interesting.
Am I misremembering, or was he involved in like when they defeated the Nightmare King for the first time?
I think he was.
Yes,
I mean,
he was.
he
He was in
mentioned that,
the
right?
final episode. Oh, like in the past?
he mentioned that like when he was defeated in the past. Was he involved in that, or was it the Night Bureau without him?
I think it was him. I think they
Oh,
mentioned
yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
line
I
about
would
how like,
imagine.
They have some history there, and I think they can
Yeah.
do stuff with that.
Mhm. Speaking of history, I love like all the history that's like put into the show. Like it feels very lived in. Like all the characters have like their own like implied like backstories in like relationships to each other.
Yeah.
I like the whole history. I love the idea of the Night Bureau and how it's like this is just like one little faction in like a greater world of dream crafting and all this stuff. Like they're not discovering it or anything. Like they're just like a small piece in like the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And like the Night Bureau is just like, you know, just going out like, you know, they're familiar with all this stuff. And I really like that like Mr. Oz, Dr. Oz is like, you know, an older member of the Night Bureau and like the Dream Crafters and all that. And then like the same
Yeah, go ahead.
and
Sorry.
it's the same thing with like, you know, the main characters too. Like I like how they start off, you know, Mateo and Cooper, they say that like they're childhood friends, but they're like no longer
Yeah, they're no
they,
longer
like
talking.
at the start of the show they're no longer talking because like Cooper started getting popular and started hanging out with like other people who don't really like Mateo, like Logan, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, how Zoe like is the new kid. She moved here from like California and all that. You know, it's like they all have their own like histories and they already feel kind of like fleshed out from
Yeah.
like the first couple episodes.
that was definitely the part that I found the most interesting to me, was like the character dynamics and how they came about and kind of like where people were. And it felt kind of understated too, in a way that I really appreciated compared to like a lot of other Lego story themes that tend to like over dramatize stuff or like really call attention to like character drama. This was just like it felt very real in a way. Like, yeah, sometimes people do grow up and make other friends groups. Sometimes they fall in with the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are just bullies and they're just jerks. Sometimes that doesn't mean they're like a cardboard cutout, like terrible person. They just
Yeah.
need to grow a little bit. You know, it felt very refreshing to see people that weren't like larger than life caricatures and they were just kind of people.
Yeah, and I really like all the relationships too and how they're different. Like, you know, I like the idea that Logan's only in this group because like of Cooper, and Cooper's kind of like the mediator between Mateo and Logan, and how like, you know, it's like they're not all like friends equally. It's like they're all kind of, you know, it feels very realistic, I think.
Yeah.
Because like not everybody in a friend group is going to be like, you know, friends with everybody else, or maybe like friends of friends who were like, you know, talking to each other and stuff because of like one person.
Yeah.
I really like it.
What I did want to say to the earlier point you mentioned, Josh, with like this is only like one night bureau location in the world. I think that opens up like a lot of space for like kids to make their own stories. With like, oh, this is my character, and he's in the night bureau in whatever country I'm from, for example. You know what I mean?
That's actually,
and
that's
then
a
you
really
can do
good
like,
idea.
and he meets Mateo in this dream, and they have an adventure together, or something like that. I really like when Lego shows open that up to make like your own stories and own characters.
Yeah, I didn't
for
even think about
kids.
that.
And I think that's great for how they did that in Dreams.
Because you also have the episodes where they'll find like one of their classmates in the dream world as well. So it's like you have your own like minifig and you can kind of roleplay with it. And I think that's like a really good way to. I feel like this show, like out of most Lego themes, just has such a strong connection between the sets and the show itself that you don't really see very often.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, it's just like, oh, vehicles and landmarks and stuff that you see in the show. And you can kind of play out the scenes that happened. And, you know, kids will make up their own stories with it as well. But Dreams just has so much potential for that kind of stuff.
I mean, I just think it's a bold approach
story.
to do what they did, because I know for a lot of people, they're going to watch Dreams and they're going to be like, oh, it doesn't have as expansive of lore as Ninjago does, or Bionicle, and it doesn't have as the fleshed out mythology of like Monkey Kid, you know, or like the deep history. It adopts for a different kind of storytelling, and I think the Night Bureau thing is a very good like microcosm of what it's trying to do. It gives you enough to paint the picture, but not enough to where but not enough to where the picture's already painted. Like, they encourage you to do some of the work yourself because it's meant to be a theme that celebrates creativity, and it's very easy to kind of insert yourself into this story.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, there's never any like huge exposition dump of how the Dream Realm came to be and how the Nightmare King ruled over the land.
Even though I would want to know that.
It would be cool. It would be cool to know.
Get something eventually.
We'll get something, but it's interesting to leave some things up to interpretation, especially with like the.
I think
how,
the difference. I think. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, you go ahead. I lost my train of thought there.
Okay. I was gonna say, I think the difference between this and like Ninjago is that Ninjago is its own world, and so like everything about it is very big picture. Like, you have to like set up the world, and it has different rules than ours. And same with Monkey Kid to like an extent, because it's very mythology based. But this is like just straight up the real world with like a secret kind of other side element to it. And so like they don't really need to put as much I don't want to say effort. That feels like they're not putting any effort into it, but like
I get what
they don't
you
need
mean.
to put as much like focus into the world building, because it's real life and we're already familiar with all of the themes in it. They just need to like focus on the dream world, and like the dream world is so nebulous that it's like they can really do whatever they want with it, and it makes sense.
I do have
and I really like that.
Some questions about like the rules, I guess, because like because they share the dreams, but they didn't before the whole Lunar's hourglass thing, right?
Yeah.
So did it only affect like the kids in that street, or is it like?
Well,
like, how did it all start? Basically, that opening
the
scene
thing
has
about
so many
that is
questions.
the arcade. The arcade episode is really where I'm like, okay, this is a little bit out of control now.
Yeah,
because you have so many people knowingly sharing a dream. I've been doing this for a while now.
So I rewatched the first episode. In the first episode, when like Giles Panton's character's on the run, Izzy and Mateo are in the background. They're like walking around in the background.
Oh,
so
really?
But they say like later on in that episode, like the next night, that this is the kind of like the first time they shared a dream. So maybe it's just
they were
like
consciously aware of it.
They're either
maybe
that
like,
or it's like only one of them is actually dreaming and the other one is like an NPC, I guess.
There's also the aspect of like them forgetting their dreams. Like, I'm pretty sure there was this one character that they saved from like the Nightmare Realm, and
Nova.
like they were like, you'll
wait,
forget
is
about
it Nova? What was
I think
it?
so,
I think so.
Yeah.
because she was like really distraught by like
Yeah.
her nightmares, and then they save her from the monster, and then they're like, oh yeah, good thing you'll forget about this when you wake up.
So they maybe could have always been sharing their dreams. That just Lunia's hourglass breaking allowed them to like remember.
Maybe.
Or I mean, like also, you know, like you can have people in your dreams all the time, but like that doesn't mean that
They
they're
are
lucid
shared
enough
with
to
you.
talk to you, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's the kind of thing I'd love to get some more information on, but I'm a detail-oriented kind of a story theme fan. You don't really need the details about it to make it work and to make it believable.
I do think it's kind of important. I want to know what Lunia's hourglass exploding did, because that clearly seemed to do something, and it's kind of like the origin of the whole show. So I do hope they will get into that. But yeah.
Fingers crossed. I would welcome any and all details. Like, if I'm being intellectually honest, you know, I'm a 25-year-old, almost 26. Oh no. and anyway, I'm a person who's a fan of LEGO story themes. I'm a Bionicle fan. I'm a fan of like detail-oriented stories. If Dreams wasn't like this and it was more detail-oriented, I'd be fine with that. But I can recognize the benefit of telling a story this way, and it has appeal to people that aren't like me. So there's some benefit to it, and it's clearly by design. Like, it's made by Tommy, Andreas, and he's a showrunner, right? Like, so if you wanted to make it like Ninjago, you would. It's
he's built plenty of other shows with expansive like lore right off the bat. Like, I think if the show needed to have like a solid foundation for that kind of stuff, they would have included it.
That being said, if they ever feel like telling more details, like Sakota, I'm down. You know,
they have room to do it.
Yeah, and you also like you can't compare it to Ninjago like season 15. Yeah, you have to compare it to like Ninjago season 1.
I mean, I'm thinking of the pilots where at the very beginning it's already saying the 4 golden weapons were hidden. We give your father the map, Garbanon. Like they give a pretty big like exposition lore dump even from the first like pilot episodes.
But for example, they explained dream crafting and the Night Bureau and all that. They didn't explain elemental powers in the pilot, for example. So it's maybe the focus is just on different stuff. And
I think either way, my point is Dreams doesn't focus as heavily on it.
Yeah,
but they have room to expand on the future. I just don't think it's the goal to have this.
Well, I'm not even sure what this theme is going to look like. Like, we're going to assume for a moment it's going to be 3 years, just because that's generally the plan by default. But I'm just trying to imagine what Dreams looks like after the Nightmare King, because it's just such an easy it's such an easy villain to have. Like, it's a show about dreams. Bad guy is a nightmare dude. Okay, what next? How much mileage are they going to get out of this premise? Because eventually they would need to start introducing some other concepts, because they'll need to pull from those concepts for future stories.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have
Nightmare King is just always going to be around.
It depends on how like loose they want to be with those concepts to still allow like a lot of like playability with the sets and everything, and not keep it too strict to lore and stuff.
We haven't seen like the Sandman yet, so like, they have a bunch of like other dream related stuff that they could do.
Yeah, sure. There's lots of potential.
Yeah. Also, the Nightmare King already like took the form of Logan's buddy friend, so they can just like give the Nightmare King different forms, make him come back. We know he already did that, so they really wanted to just have the Nightmare King. They can stretch it out.
A good old Nightmare King gets defeated and then comes back.
Yep. I guess they could do that, yeah.
Move, which would be disappointing, but hey, if
there's no rule saying they can't. I mean, it's probably not going to be.
I think multiple villains would be cool.
Yeah,
personally, but
I mean, I agree. I don't know who else would be as appropriate for the theme.
That is true.
Maybe well, I was gonna say the Sandman until I realized that's already a character who's like a good person.
I think like the only
Oh, we haven't
good
met him yet.
like
Sandman.
Nope.
have we?
Not
Oh
yet.
yeah, the Sandman turns evil and goes
Maybe.
against them.
Who knows? I'm down. They fight sleep paralysis.
I mean, yeah.
torments,
You also have
monsters.
like the other dream. Like you could just have like an evil dream crafter.
Yeah,
that
or an evil
using their.
gang.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess
Baraka.
the Nightmare King kind of already is, but just like an evil dream crafter from the real world.
Yeah.
Maybe have some kind of mystery season where they have to track down who it is in the real world to figure out who they are in the dream world or something.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It also
But
seems.
I feel like there's a lot of cool routes they could probably take it.
It seems also like the Nightmare King's goal is to cross over into the real world, so they could do like a strictly real world season, maybe with like nightmares in the real world.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which I think might kind of remove a little bit of the cool element with the
Yeah,
switching between the two, but I think it'd still be
I think
interesting.
there are a lot of possibilities, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Like
we
Nightmare
talk about-
King's the easy villain to make, but I think there's a lot of potential for other ones like they could do, even if they don't seem as readily obvious to us.
I have a question.
Yes.
Alright.
Do you think the Nightmare King could be like the Garmadon, like the reoccurring villain?
Probably.
I think he's more like
Yeah.
the Overlord. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough.
And
I don't know
with-
if he's like as I don't know, like
because he's like more of
personality-wise.
an existential threat, and then like a character, I guess. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
With like
More
the
like a concept.
yeah, he's more of like the manifestation of evil, I guess.
Mhm.
Can we talk about the real best character?
Z-Blob.
Z-Blob!
Z-Blob.
Z-Blob!
We love Z-Blob.
Z-Blob!
Okay, so I actually have something to say about Z-Blob. So I remember when I first saw like the sets and everything, and I saw like the concept, and I was like, oh, okay. I just thought like Z-Blob was just gonna be like just the mascot, you know, like that doesn't really do anything, and it's just kind of there. It like isn't important to the plot, but like I don't know. I'm enjoying him so far. He's great.
I mean, he kind of is the mascot, but he is important to the plot. Like,
Yeah.
he's there all the
Like-
time.
Yeah,
In a
well,
way-
also like the idea that like that Mateo is able to like bring him into the real world is like really important to like
Yeah.
the Nightmare King.
Yeah.
In a way,
Yeah.
he's like the key to everything. And I like that a
Z-Blob.
lot.
I'm actually
Z-Blob
really
right.
curious
Oh,
about
Z-Blob.
Z-Blob. Like the fact that he's so important and that like everyone's like tracking him down. There's like this whole episode where they're it pretty much takes place entirely in the real world, and Z-Blob's like an anomaly. And
Yeah, with
That was
the,
a
like an
funny
agent
episode.
lady from
comes
the
to like
bureau.
yeah,
Mhm.
and it's like wow, it adds some interesting stakes to the series, even when they're just
Oh, and that episode
In the real
also
world.
like has some really cool world building in it, where they're like all the weird tech they have is stuff that like people from a really long time ago dreamcrafted
oh
and
yeah,
like brought
they
to
brought
the real
over.
world. And the reason why it's all like really old tech is because like people haven't been able to bring like dreamcrafted stuff into the real world in a really long time.
Yeah.
And it's like so that's why like Z-Blob is such an anomaly. Like that's such a cool little detail that like all their tech is just like really old because of that.
Man, I love that.
Like I was
Yeah.
like, whenever they had like the picture on screen, whenever like the anti-gravity like space helmet, I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh yeah, wait, that was probably just created in someone's dream, and then they brought it over. Like that's
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's such a cool concept.
Man, dreams is so cool. Yeah, I don't know. I like it a lot. It's a fun vibe. That episode where they were like running after Z-Blob was just funny.
Yeah.
He's like inhales
Z-Balloon.
food. The Z-Balloon.
Vegetarian. I also like the bit in the first episode he did with Z-Blob with like, oh, I never drew him a mouth because and like he can't ask him anything because of that.
I really should have drawn him a mouth.
Yeah.
Funny bit and true. Z-Blob must speak his truth to the world. I would like to hear it, but I can't. Thanks,
the
Mateo.
Z-Blob podcast.
Dude, I would love Z-Blobcast. I'd bring him on as a guest.
Blobcast.
Come on.
Blob.
Blobcast for all your blobby news. No, he's great. I love him.
I also love the origin of the shark ship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
the plushies for Izzy.
Yeah.
There were a lot of nice touches in that that early part of the show, just like setting things up in an interesting way.
Mm.
Mhm.
I give them props. I really do.
We have some more
Well,
like side characters, like Mrs. Castillo, and like
Not
the-
as much from her as I was expecting, but
Yeah.
what we got was good.
Mhm.
And
I love
I
her
ex-
vibe.
I
Sneak.
expected her to be part of the Night Bureau for some reason, and the fact that she wasn't, and she's just like literally just the old lady that sells food. I was like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah. And I think with her, like, the thing is she always forgets her dreams. They mentioned that. I wonder if there's, like, anything about that or not. But, yeah. I'm sure she'll show up again.
And then yeah, Sneak the Legend, who does not have a figure currently. She's
Yeah.
the only one that doesn't get one. I'm thinking probably in the next wave.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
probably.
They'll need to make like a special torso for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
This-
silly little guys are funny.
Okay,
Silly
okay,
little guys.
Yeah, so people are calling the MIDI figures, right? Like with the D.
MIDI
MIDI
figure?
figures?
Really?
Yeah.
Mini figures.
I
thought we
I literally cannot stop calling them silly little guys.
Yeah,
so
they're
whenever
silly
someone
little
calls them
guys. That is
MIDI
what they
figure, I'm
are.
like, no, you're wrong.
You're just wrong. They're silly little guys. I love all of them. I think they're funny in the actual show, even if they do basically nothing of consequence besides
Well,
Sneak.
Sneak does, yeah.
They're
Yeah.
like Lock, Shock, and Barrel from The Nightmare Before Christmas. They give me those vibes, like the trio of minions that just gets into like mischief.
Yeah. I like
Your
the
standard
Sneak
claws?
and Logan whole dynamic in those last 2 episodes. They did really well.
I liked the triple betrayal, like
triple
bait and
betrayal.
switch.
I mean, it was
This
only one
smart.
betrayal, really, right?
No,
He
he betrayed the Nightmare King to help Logan, and he betrayed Logan to help the Nightmare King.
Well, he was
Just a double
working for
betrayal.
the
Double
Nightmare King
betrayal.
all along, right?
That was the vibe that I got. Yeah.
But did the Nightmare King know that?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think so.
I think it was all a ruse. It was
He
The
all
Nightmare
planted
King was
the-
on board for him to break Logan out, and then
Yeah, because he planted the eye on his
Yeah,
hat, right? In the end.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, because they I think they changed their mission to Z-Blob.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't know. It was just a fun thing. I feel like in other shows, especially Lego shows, they would have just done the one like, oh, he has a change of heart, and that's it. Dreams did like the double one.
That was clever. I liked that.
What
Alright.
next?
Anything more on the characters? Otherwise, I think we should go into.
I kind of wanted to mention something odd about Izzy
Yeah.
that I feel like was kind of like there was a cool setup, and then they kind of just didn't do anything with it, which I feel like has happened quite a bit in this show. But like it was mainly with Izzy, where there's this whole episode where they find this Yeti,
Oh yeah.
and he gets killed by like the nightmare
Oh, yeah.
stuff. And it's like
I
really
almost forgot about
dramatic, and she's like really upset about it in the end, and I think like she's
Even
like
in the next
like, I'm not
episode,
gonna-
I think, right? When she's like, when they're
Yeah.
like in the real world.
But then we get to like the cheat code episode where they're in the game, and she's like, she seems like disturbed. She's like, I'm gonna get you back. I'm not gonna let anything happen to you. And then she's talking about like the plushy shark.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
and Banshu, right? She's like, oh, Banshu,
Yeah.
I don't want to lose you too.
So it's really interesting. I just
Well,
I feel like they could have done more with that.
the question is like, is the Yeti more or less real than the plushy shark?
Well, that's the thing. That's why it bothers me that she's like talking about the plushy shark and stuff, because it's like the Yeti seemed like an actual like creature from the
Yeah, but I mean,
dream
he's
realm.
in a dream, right? So is he
He's
just
in
a
a
dream?
but there's like other there's like the computer in the video
Yeah.
game world. It's like there's people that live there, it seems, that just exist within that world.
There's a lot of strange things like
It's
that.
It's weird. Like, it's weird.
like-
Did the dream? Did humanity come first, and then like their
Oh,
collective
no.
dreams created the dream world, or did the dream world exist
Do animals
alongside
dream?
humanity? and they just like access it.
Yeah, I was thinking with Izzy they were gonna do this thing where it's like, oh, she's the bright and bubbly, cheerful character, but then something happens that kind of like sours her mood a little bit, and she gets a little bit more like hesitant about the dream world. But they kind of just like she kind of just stayed the same throughout the entire thing, with like little hints of that. But even then, it was like
I'm telling you, her
her, like,
personality is just Naruto run,
so,
and I love her.
I was like, I didn't expect them to go full like dark on it and have
I
her
mean,
have, like,
they
the
did
full,
for
like,
for
angst
some
arc, but-
episodes. She was like more hesitant. And was there like some kind of lesson for
Yeah.
her? Not really, right? At least
Not
I don't
really.
remember.
I just would have liked to see more of that and had it be acknowledged
The
more
lesson
directly.
was Naruto run more.
Naruto run-
Naruto run away from your problems.
Yeah.
There
there
you
you
go.
go. But yeah, and then stuff with like the Logan and Mateo, it's like they have this back and forth, and then you'll think that they like solved it at the end of an episode, and then the next one they're back at it again, which is kind of realistic, but at the same time it's just
It
you
did
have,
make
like,
it a bit dull.
yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like Logan's repeating his same arc already. Like
Yeah, I think there was
multiple
this
times.
moment in the React where we were all like, where Logan was like, "Oh, now I'm joining your Sheep Week team again," and we were like, "Wait, you didn't in the last episode?"
Yeah.
I thought that was the resolution of.
And then the
last
next episode, and the whole finale is about him like as soon as he reunites with Mateo, they're arguing again, and Sneak has to be the one to like get them back together. So by the finale, like
I
in the
did
second
actually
half,
like
are they
that,
gonna?
because
Yeah,
they
I
had the
didn't.
whole-
I wasn't. Especially when you have like better resolutions to that arc done in previous episodes.
I did actually like how they did it in finale, because it was like, they resolved their problems over the 10 episodes. Then it's like everything's good. He's on their team, but then he gets like kidnapped in the night in the dream world, and then everyone thinks, oh, he just didn't show up for the soccer game, and he feels
We
betrayed
love
because they didn't search for him in the
misunderstandings.
nightmare or in the dream world. So it's like a
Yeah, I mean the
misunderstanding
setup's
thing.
the
I
setup's
like
fine.
that.
It's just the resolution I'm not a huge fan of.
I
Yeah.
liked both. I just feel like it was unnecessary to have both. I
when-
liked both of them independently, but
I think-
it did feel redundant a bit.
If we had that after an entire season of them being at odds and no resolution, or at least if they presented them as like small steps in each episode, because I think that could have worked. Is like Logan and
I think
Mateo's like
That
they're-
was
they're-
the
they're-
intention, actually. That
Yeah.
it's like small steps, but I think
But it didn't
was a
really
bit
feel that
confusing
way.
at some points.
it felt like Logan went through the arc, they made up, and then the next episode it reset.
Correct.
I'm thinking that maybe by the finale, that's when it's like, okay, yeah, but I'm not for sure yet since we haven't seen the next 10 episodes. Like, are they going to be at odds with each other still? If that's
I
the case,
doubt
then
it.
that'll be a bit disappointing. But I mean, if not, then I guess I'm okay with it. It just made the first, like, their dynamic for the first half just kind of repetitive.
There's also another character thing I want to talk about. I just thought of is Zoe and her like not really being in the team, but kind of being in the team.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like she'll just show up randomly while they're in the
she'll-
dream world.
She'll
Yeah.
show up. She'll conveniently decide to leave when something like a team building thing is happening. Like
I think
when
one
they
of-
go into like the sand castle, she conveniently like, okay, well I'm gonna dip now. I'm too cool for you guys. And even the characters point out, like, you're doing this now.
I think it's more of a character thing.
Yeah.
I think she just doesn't want to get too close to them or anything.
Oh yeah,
I
they very
remember-
explicitly kind of like said that because she feels
Yeah.
like her trust was broken by her previous friend group because she lost them. She doesn't want to get too attached to anyone. She's the
It-
too cool for school girl.
Yeah,
Well, I
I
think-
get
I
that. It
think
just
that
felt
is the
very
thing.
like random at that
But it
point
is
in time.
it is a lot of
Yeah.
times like, come on, you're doing everything everyone does on the team. Why
Yeah.
are you not part of the team?
Like we
Yeah.
are at the point where we would really need your help right now. I'm a head out. But you know, it is. I don't have as much of a problem because I feel like there's still potential there that hasn't been explored yet. That I think has like it could still be explored. You know,
Yeah.
in the future. With Izzy, I feel like the ship like was there and then it just sailed already. Like we had the
Yeah, I don't think
chance
they'll
for
go
Izzy to
back
do
to the
something, and then they already like missed the opportunity. So it's like
Who knows? We may get the deep cut Yeti payoff.
Maybe.
Deep cut.
10, 12, 20 episodes from now, who knows?
Yeah, and then with the Logan and Mateo stuff, it's like they already did it, and the arc is seemingly done with. So that's why I have issues with those, and like specifically with Cooper and Zoe. It's like, yeah, I'm a little upset they didn't do much with them when they have so much potential to, but those are things that still have opportunities to be explored in the future. So I'm not like, oh, they missed out.
Yeah.
You know, I actually think of them more positively. Like that's why Cooper's my favorite right now, is because he has the most potential, in my opinion. That could change in the next 10 episodes, you know. So,
I get you.
But I mean, that's not to say I dislike any of the characters. I still think the cast is really solid. It's just these little things that I wish could have happened that didn't, but you know. Yeah, overall it's a solidly built cast, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
I get it, and I wish Z-Blob could talk. We can't all get what we want. Sometimes some writing flaws are too strong.
Okay, there's one topic we kind of like talked a bit about earlier, but we thought like maybe we do it after the characters, which is like the connection between dream world and real world and the way they they balance it out in the episodes.
Oh, I thought you meant like in like the world, like. Oh
no, I mean like how okay. They balance like the screen time, I guess. And I think, for example, in the first, my opinion on this changed a bit over the season. In the first episodes, I was like, oh, I really like the real world stuff. I want to see more of the real world. Because there was like a lot of the fun character interactions and things like that were in the real world. And I especially like the Night Bureau like agent episode a lot, which was like completely in the real world. But then later in the season, I felt like when Logan was like kidnapped and they showed a lot of like the soccer match, I was like, okay, I really don't care about this soccer match. I want to know what's up with Logan.
Yeah, it's epic. We love soccer.
I would say my favorite episode in the whole like first 10 is the one where they go into like the teacher's dream.
Really?
Yeah, because that was like a complete fever dream.
It was so weird.
Yes, but I really like that
way
episode.
It was framed and the weird subplot about like the soda,
the energy drink. Yeah,
energy drink that made strange. Go like feral.
That episode was like super strange.
That was awesome. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, but I love that episode.
I love the feral gym teacher.
And I think that was weird. Like that episode did the best job of like balancing and connecting the dream world with the real world, which is why it's like my favorite in the first 10.
Makes sense. That's a good reason. And I really liked the episode with the inspection. That was probably my favorite.
Also in that episode, they had the whole thing with the Insomniac Club, and I hope they do more with that.
I mean, it definitely is
a concept.
Yeah,
that's definitely set up for something.
Yeah,
I do like that idea. I will agree. Yeah, the episode where they have like the school and it's like in the dream like nightmare. It's a really good way to just connect the two plots, especially when, like, as you mentioned before, the Mateo having to go into the dream world to like talk to Zoe. It kind of connects his struggles in the real world to like an actual story where you're swapping between the two. So I like that a lot, and it creates interesting parallels between like the real world school and the one in the dream world, which I like a lot. I'd probably have to agree with Meso though. I like the inspection episode the best. Mostly I like it a lot because of the Z-Blob antics, but I also really like a lot of like the stuff that I believe Josh mentioned earlier with like
lore, I guess.
The lore and the dream crafted items. But I also like the little Cooper side plot, where he has to like the resolution's a bit interesting because it's kind of like he's like torn between like he has his responsibilities on like the Dream Squad and in real life, and his decision in the end is like, oh yeah, I don't care about. I have a bunch of homework. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna.
It was an interesting moral for a LEGO show.
Dream. It was a little shaky. I don't know how else that would have played out, but I like the dilemma. I enjoyed the dilemma a lot, and I think it's part of the reason why.
I think the moral was supposed to be that if like your friends need you, that's
your friends need you, then that's more important. Yeah, I could see that, but yeah, And I'd say though my favorite sequence was probably in the Dream Forge when they have like all the nightmares and stuff. Because I think a lot of, like even with Mateo's it was just like shot so interestingly, and like the music and everything was it was really cool how they did that.
Yeah.
And the stuff with
like
Cooper,
having no
obviously,
hands to open.
Yeah, he had like no hands, and like the interesting like
Classic.
zooms and like the stuff like that. And then obviously like I touched on Cooper's earlier too, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, I really do like it when they have these struggles that are portrayed like as nightmares, which makes a lot of sense because it's like the things they're afraid of that they have to overcome, and they're literal nightmares.
Yeah.
And I wish Izzy's and Mateo's had more depth to them, because Mateo's is literally, I'm scared of the Nightmare King.
The Nightmare King. Yeah, was kind of weird.
I like what they did with Cooper's, and I hope we see more stuff like that in the future with the other characters.
Yeah.
I agree.
I definitely think that they could have had like there is definitely like a better nightmare, like fear of it that Mateo has besides just the general concept of a nightmare.
Yeah, I feel like because I'm thinking of a lot of stuff from the first episode, because that's what I just rewatched that earlier today, and it was in the first episode they say like, or Izzy says like to him that he's like, he's gonna be all alone if he only just draws alone in his house and doesn't care about anything else, and maybe his fear could be like being left alone or something like that. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, I feel like Mateo's would probably be like him drawing something and then showing it to somebody, and then they hate it and they like just bash him for it and everything. I feel like that would be like his major fear. And I think like Izzy's, I think hers was closer to what her like personality is, but like I think that hers would probably be like losing, like I think she kind of sees her stuffed animals as like her friends in quotes, like she was really like distraught at her shark being taken away from her, to the point where like she wouldn't even like send Bunshu into battle because she was afraid that the Night Hunter would take him away too.
I think
that like
Izzy's supposed to be quite a bit younger than the others, right? She's not with them in class, so she's like 1 or 2 years younger, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think Zoe's the oldest, and Zoe's the oldest, and then Izzy's the youngest.
Yeah.
And because I think they said that like Zoe was a grade or two above them.
Yes, they did say that.
And so I think that like Izzy's fear would be like basically all of her like quotes friends, like all of her stuffed animals being like slowly turning against her and everything, like the shark did. But yeah, I mean like
if they wanted to go the route of like her fear is losing all her friends and stuff, like that'd be pretty like kind of dark for a Lego show. But like they had the opportunity they had the thing with the Yeti.
Yeah,
so they could have done that.
Well, I think the way they could have done it was just have like have the shark, and then it like slowly turns into like the shark ship, that. And then maybe like Bunshu like turn into like an evil version of Bunshu, and then like all the other stuffed animals that she has starts turning like evil into like twisted versions.
I could see that. I just think it would have been more impactful as like actual characters. The reason I bring up the Yeti is because it's like the one instance of that.
But to be fair, that episode was before the Yeti. So.
Yeah,
I mean, but it could be like a foreshadowing kind of deal. Mm-hmm. Like you could have it be like, the implication is like she's losing her stuffed animals, but it's like a showcase, or it's like a metaphor for like her losing like people.
That's messed up.
But it like foreshadows the Yeti incident, and that gets her like down a
Yeti incident.
The Yeti incident.
Oh man, Ice Chapter could be wildin'.
I just think it's kind of adorable. I think it's kind of adorable if like Izzy's like major nightmare is just losing her stuffed animals. It's really funny. But it's just so much about her.
Josh is like, the happy scenario, and I'm like, get darker.
I've had nightmares about losing my Bionicle sets. When I was younger, I had dreams I was walking across like a collapsing bridge, and like all the stuff I owned was like falling through the gaps in the bridge. And I was walking, and then like the gaps would be getting like wider and wider and wider. And then eventually I fell too, and then I died, and then I woke up.
Man, did you have a dream, a nightmare where all of your bionicle, all the joints in your bionicle sets broke?
Yes, and then it became reality. Let's move on.
Oh no. Where were we?
I'm sorry.
Good question.
Just the
Anyway, I'm done
logistics
bringing up
of
the
world.
Yeti incident now.
The
We can
Yeti
move on.
incident.
The Yeti incident. We should do.
I need a
what
gif
does
of
Lego
that.
have
I wanted to
against
talk-
Yetis?
I wanted to talk about the general production values
Yes.
and how weirdly high they are in terms of like
True.
lighting and cinematography. And
True.
even the rendering on certain things, like the sand in that one episode.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sand in one
It's
episode,
like
it looked really good, but
Uncomfortably.
sometimes it was like floating on the characters. That was a bit odd.
That was weird, but the sequence where they like built the bridge out of sand and you
Yeah.
had like the effects going around, and then you also had the effects of like the hologram with like the universe thing on it, like the atoms and
Yes.
I
With
forget
the-
exactly what it was. It
was
was like
the
either
seashell
atoms or it
from
was like the
Yeti-
universe or
Yeti. Yeah.
yeah, it was it was something, but that looked really good. Like a lot of the effects themselves looked really good. But
just
yeah,
the
it was
the
weird
lighting
how
in general.
when they were in the sand, it was kind of like floating on them and stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes
The
the
lighting-
glass was like clipping through some of the 3D models. But yeah.
The lighting was the thing that caught me the most off guard, I think, just in those first
Oh, yeah.
few episodes. Because it just has a unique look to it. I don't know what the right word is to describe how it looks, but it's very good. It does not look low budget at all.
No,
I think.
it looks great. Yeah. What I also want to say what is really good is a lot of like the textures, especially for like when they have furniture in some scenes and stuff like that. The wood texture on it, stuff. It looks very realistic. It's quite a different style from like Ninjago, for example.
Mhm.
I think that in terms of animation, I really like the real world better.
Mhm.
Just like I
agree.
like the lighting in it. The textures are like generally better. I still like the dream world. Just think that it looks different to me. And I just like the whole vibe of the real world better. One thing I do like better than the real world is the Nightmare King like establishing shot.
Yeah, that's like a drawing, right? That's not 3D.
Yeah, I think probably
Pretty sure
I
that's-
think it's in the background of a couple of shots when they're outside of it.
Yeah, maybe they have.
So I'm
put-
not
they probably
sure
did like
exactly,
they probably did a
but
model and also
They
like, a
probably could
painting.
have. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they did like a 2D like skybox almost.
I think there was another
of-
scene. I think it's right before, like when Izzy and Zoe talk in that cave. Before that, there's like
Oh,
an
yeah.
establishing shot too, and I think that's like it looked 2D as well, like a drawing.
Man, I want
Um,
that like Nightmare King base as a set
Yeah, I
bad.
hope they do
I
that.
think the show is best looking in the interior shots
Yeah.
because like a lot of the interiors just have a lot of like really good detail and lighting and stuff like that.
Yes.
I would say some of the exterior shots, like it kind of brought me out of the show when they did like wide shots of like outdoor areas, and you can kind of tell where like the scene ends, and you can kind of just see
especially
like
in
the void.
the floating
like-
islands in the dream world.
Yeah,
I think
like,
that's where I
like,
noticed it.
but even when
more.
they're in the real world and you see like the Z balloon and it zooms out, you can kind of just see where like there's nothing behind those buildings. It's just like a blue void in the background. So that kind of took me out a little bit sometimes, but other than that, it all looked really great in my opinion.
Also, when they were in the video game world, they had like a different kind of like style and lighting
Mhm.
to the
Yeah.
surrounding that also looked really cool. I like what they did
Yeah.
there.
I give a big shout out to Pure Imagination, the development studio behind it. They did very, very good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it a lot.
The
Voice acting also was super good.
Yes.
Hey, yeah.
Really good.
I love everybody.
Yeah, Vincent Tong is, I think, the standout again with like His Sneak Logan interactions were so funny,
Yeah.
and his like laugh he has for Logan.
What's really impressive is like I hear him talking and I know it's Vincent Tong, but I don't immediately hear Kai. Like the performance is definitely different enough to where it's like I'm not imagining Kai the whole time. It definitely feels like its own separate performance and character, which is
I agree.
is good. But you know it's Vincent Tong,
yeah,
which is like,
and
but he
Which I
does such a
consider a
good
good
job
thing.
with it.
Izzy is great for like all the comedy and like the super hyperactive delivery.
Mhm.
It's really good. So
Everybody popped off.
yeah,
Absolutely.
pretty much the whole main crew, great voice acting.
I'm trying to think about what else I could say. Please do something better with the Night Hunter. I'm begging. And
Yes,
part 2.
please.
Something
You
interesting.
need
Like
the redemption.
a scrap of lore.
Please let
to,
him run.
Okay, I just remembered something we haven't talked about yet, and it's important.
Go on.
Blue little guy Logan.
Oh my
no,
goodness.
the silliest little guy.
He is a silly little guy with really
I-
weird realistic
Okay,
angles.
That was a
What
weird
was
plot
that
line.
about?
I have a theory.
Yeah, me too.
I have a theory he's turning into like that's like a Grimmspawn version of him, but I don't know.
Is it? I
like-
think it was like it's corrupting him, right?
Like
it's
it comes
him,
out when he's like
him
angry,
leaning
you know, like
into his
Yeah.
urges.
mhm.
But there was also the scene where like everyone made their costume and he couldn't, and he turned like blue for a second.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on there.
I'm not really sure what they're trying to imply with it.
Yeah, I hope
It's
there's
also
a
weird
reason for
'cause-
that. But
It's weird because he's weirdly like more powerful in that form.
Yeah, he's like
So-
stronger in that form, but then he meets Mateo and he's like I can't do anything as the little blue guy.
Yeah.
It's like you're gonna need something more than that. And it's like I don't know. You seem to be pretty strong before as the blue little guy, so
Mhm.
I don't know if it's like supposed to be a power up or it's supposed to be a oh this is bad. Don't do
Don't do
that
it,
type
yeah.
of thing.
or if it's like
Like-
his true dream form or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really hope they like explain it or like go further into it.
I doubt they will.
I mean,
That might be my
have to,
pessimism.
right?
I think they could. I mean, assuming that he transforms into that often, I would assume they would do something with it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll really flesh it out to what we're hoping, but
It might
don't
just
know.
be my pessimism, but like they never explained why the Grimmspawn are how they are.
I
Other
mean,
than
maybe
they're just like
maybe it will
freaky and
tie into
small.
each other.
maybe.
Maybe it's like people can turn into Grimmspawn if they like lean into their nightmare or something.
Potentially. I could see it. It was definitely odd though. It was
Yeah.
an odd note, that entire thing with him. The bit about like the tournament
Or he has to
at the
fight.
very end
Sneak.
there was funny.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in the reacts we were like, what's up with this like fight? Like it's like so pointless, and then it makes sense with the with the trail.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the point was to like push Logan to his limits, right? Or to like to embrace his evil, I guess.
Mhm.
Or
I
to
think it was either
or to
that
build
or to,
trust
like,
with Sneak. Yeah.
yeah, I think that was
Yeah.
it.
The
Makes
epic
sense.
long con plan. I love to see it. Yeah.
There's also another thing that we forgot to mention: the time travel stopwatch
Oh,
Oh.
true.
I completely
that
repressed
is
that from my
used
memory.
twice.
Yes.
So okay, so I'm hoping that this is how they do it, right? It can only go back a few seconds, and then it has like a recharge. It's like I don't know if y'all have seen Futurama, but there's like one of the last episodes of the series. They have like a basically like a mini time machine kind of thing that only sends you back like 10 seconds, and then it has like
Yeah.
a 10-second cooldown.
I think I said it after one of the reacts that it's kind of like Tracer's ability in Overwatch, where you like
Because she's only
go back a couple of seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, because she's only used it like a few seconds at a time. I don't think it can
Mhm.
actually like do anything like major, you know?
Yeah, I would just hope they explain it, because that's the only thing, is that they haven't explained to us how it works. So
Yeah.
we're kind of just left like speculating, and it's
Yeah.
annoying when like we know the character, like Zoe has this,
Mhm.
and we don't know, like, can she use it? Whatever, can she just how
Welcome to
much
the problem with
material-
time travel
Until
stuff.
until they like okay, look, until they have some like big scene where she like some big end of Skybound scene where she like undoes
rewinds
the
the
entire
entire
plot.
season.
No.
I will choose to believe that it
Oh.
has a limit of a few seconds.
Also, why does she have that? Where did she get that? Is she?
I don't know. She's
like,
been,
because
she's
like
been doing
Zoe,
this like way longer than the rest of the crew.
yes,
so like you
but
know,
it's like
That's the other thing. What are the rules with dream crafting? What if she dream crafted that? Can you dream craft a time travel device that doesn't
Zoe doesn't
have
even have an
rules?
hourglass, right?
Oh, does she not?
But I mean,
does she? I thought she does.
No, I don't think so, right?
I could be misremembering. I don't remember if she dream crafts, because she has like the giant like bird
Yeah,
monster
Griffin.
thing,
Yeah.
owl.
griffin. Yeah. So I don't know if she dream crafted that or if I'm just
It's the
misremembering, but
buddy she met in the dream world.
but I mean, no matter what character it is, like, could you what are the rules to what you can dream craft? Could you
Well,
make
they have like the sand
a plot
that kind of
destroying
limits
item?
how much they can dream
Yeah,
craft.
how much?
But the question is like how powerful.
Like, yeah,
can
how
you dream
powerful? How
craft?
much complexity? Like, is there a complexity limit?
Yeah.
Which would be kind of weird because they're like creating living, breathing creatures,
Mhm.
which you would think would be more. I don't know. Would that be more complex?
I mean,
than a piece of
that also
technology?
goes into like what is the dream world? Is it like in the
Yeah.
minds of people? But it's its own realm. But like, if it's in the minds of people, then like I can imagine living, breathing people like all the time,
Yeah.
and they're real in my mind. But if they're real in my mind, does that mean that they're real in the dream world because it's connected to my mind? You know, it's a whole thing that we have to know more about the dream world and what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't think.
So I guess that's kind of an aspect where the loose world or like the loose like lore building kind of is a detriment a little bit
mhm.
Yeah.
if you look at it from that angle.
Like
But I
what,
feel
what
like-
came first,
I
the
don't
dream
know.
world or people dreaming?
It's also a bit of a suspension of disbelief thing where
Yeah.
when you watch the episode, you don't really think about any of that.
Yeah.
Which I mean is
Mhm.
it's still something you should talk about, I guess, like when you establish the lore of something like that. But
I would assume that like at some point they have the opportunity to like explain like the backstory of the dream world like through the Night Bureau or something. Like they,
mhm.
you know, maybe they have like documented it or something like that. You know, I think that they definitely have the opportunity to do that, and I'm hoping that they do because right now it's like mind breaking.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna continue living in ignorance that the time travel thing that did not exist, and
You're just gonna pretend it's not
I
real.
repressed it after we watched it, and I'm actively repressing it as we speak. That's all I'll say.
I'll be sure to remind you every episode.
Shut up.
From here on out. I'll be sure to
No.
let you know.
About what?
Keep it in your conscience.
About what? Moving on.
Okay, also 2 more things I just thought of. Do you guys think they're setting up a Zoe and Mateo like love story?
Yes.
I hope not.
Because
I
it
do
very
think-
much seems that way.
I
But
do think.
what do you guys
is the-
think
the
about that?
direction. Just write it well if you do it. That's
Yeah.
all I ask.
I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
The conversation was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they had some good moments. It's not like rushed or anything.
I
feel like, yeah,
I
You can make
like
the argument that it's unnecessary, and I would agree, but
yeah,
I'd like to
maybe.
interpret that whole thing as Mateo being nervous to like talk to new people,
Hmm.
in
but it doesn't
general,
really work. Yeah, like, but it doesn't fully work because they've like met Zoe before.
Yeah, but they don't
I mean, yeah,
know
but
each
she's
other
maybe-
still
well.
like she's still like
Yeah.
the new one.
Yeah, so it's like I'd like to interpret it as just Mateo being nervous to talk and like make new friends, and that's why he's nervous about it.
Yeah, because all the others he kind of knows. True.
Mm.
I get that.
But
But
you know,
But I do think, like, while I think that works well, I do think the implication is
yeah.
like he has a crush.
Lego romance plot lines. Let's go. They always go well.
I hope they don't turn it to like a jealousy thing with like Logan,
I doubt
because
it.
I think even in that episode there was
that
a little
episode,
bit of,
it
like,
was like Logan was like, "Huh, I have the confidence to ask her to join our team,"
yeah,
but then he
Mhm.
embarrasses himself.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I think my main worry is the possibility of
Of a love triangle. Oh, no.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
with
As long
Logan.
as it's not the perfect match machine.
Yeah, can't be any worse than that. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I am. I'm reaching the end of what
Yeah.
I have to say.
Same. I think we
Personally.
should probably go in like overall thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Who's up
So-
first?
Wants to. I could start if you
Uh,
want.
there you go.
Yeah. By all
Okay.
means.
I really liked it for the first 10 episodes. I think it's important to compare it to, like, this is a new show. You can compare it with something that's been going on for like 10 years. But I
Mhm.
think it was a pretty strong start. I like all the main characters pretty much. I think they're all interesting. I like the dream world and the real world has interesting stuff to offer. I said it earlier, sometimes I'm like, please go back to the dream world, and sometimes I'm like, please go back to the real world. But I think overall that's a good sign that both can be very interesting. And I think there's a lot of good stuff there they can work with in the future. So overall, I'm very positive the first 10 episodes.
I
Nice.
can go.
Yeah.
I also really liked it. I was kind of comparing it to other shows too, like Next to Nights, I think.
Mm.
Like I really like all the characters. I honestly think about them a lot, just like their personalities and everything. And yeah, I don't know, like it doesn't feel formulaic, I think, in the sense that like every episode it's very episodic, but it's like it's very serialized, you know. I don't know. Back to like the Next to Nights thing. The fact that it was like it had like an overall story, but like every episode was the exact same. Like
yeah, fight
exact
monster,
same-
scan code.
basically, yeah. Like this has more of like a an overarching plot. It doesn't really get into like episodic stuff, I don't think. I don't know. I really like it. It's I hope it lasts more than it's like, you know, a lot of time.
There you go.
But yeah.
Bendo, you go next. I like going last.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I don't feel like overwhelmingly positive about it or like super like it didn't really leave an impact on me, I feel like. But I do think that it is solid and I'm excited to see where it goes. I like the cast, I like the characters, I like how it looks visually. I think it has really good concepts. I think it's the best like Lego show in terms of utilizing the fact that it's Lego and promoting like imagination and stuff like that. So I think it does its job incredibly well. And yeah, I'm definitely interested to see where it goes, but overall I think it was just pretty good. I don't feel incredible. I don't have many strong feelings either way.
That's fair.
Mm.
For me, I think it basically just comes down to like the moment we heard the premise leak for it, I basically instantly wrote it off. I was like, oh, it's a
Wow.
bunch of like random, goofy, wacky stuff. There's mushroom people. There's a talking monkey. They fly through space. There's time travel.
Yeah, because
They have
Meso,
a funny slime blob.
there would never be a good Lego show with a talking monkey.
Touche. Touche. Yeah, it was just it just sounded a little like not for me. Not just kind of like silly, goofy, haha, random. But like I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it, and I've thought about why, because it's about the farthest thing from what I typically gravitate towards, with like all the lore and the expanded world building and the intricate year-long character arcs with clear progression. I'm like, why do I like Dreams so much? And I think really it comes down to variety. I think that if LEGO is going to be a company that is trying to do multiple story themes at once and kind of juggle them, I think it really benefits them to not have them be the same or feel samey. As much as I like Bionicle, and I always will, as much as I like Ninjago, they're very much cut from the same cloth. They're the same type of story. And I think you can make arguments for Chima and Nexonites and such, and whether they have enough of a different identity or not, but clearly a lot of people felt they were kind of too samey, and or even too samey to themselves, and they didn't have long lifespans because of it. Monkey Kid's been the really big breakout, and it does things very differently than Ninjago does. They're very different shows. And I think that Dreams kind of follows along that trend in that it's different from both as well. It has a different tone. It's aspiring for different things. It's not trying to have a wiki where you fill out the entire wiki page of every single character or make incredible. Well, there's a wiki for everything. It's not catered to that, you know. You're not going to fill out the databases of every single bit of Dreams lore and find Dreams plot holes. You have different expectations going into it. But I think in the confines of what it is trying to do, because it's very self-aware about what it's trying to do and what it's trying to be, I think, it's basically excelling at everything it's aiming to do for itself. And it's a nice feather in the cap of LEGO's story theme offerings. I feel like something like this should exist.
Yeah.
And I think that's really kind of the approach I'm taking with it. I'm trying to not compare it to other things because it's not trying to be compared to other things. And you could make the argument, well, it's aiming for less, you know, it's aiming lower. I wouldn't even necessarily say it's aiming for lower, it's aiming for a different feeling. When variety is nice.
When we got that first press release, it said like it aims for a younger audience than Ninjago, I think, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
while
that's probably true.
While I can very much see that in the show, it didn't make it like less enjoyable for me in any way. It's not like dumbed down. It doesn't feel dumbed down in anything like that. So I think they did a good job of doing something aimed at a younger audience while keeping it interesting.
It's important to just set expectations accordingly, not for mediocrity, but for depth. Dreams is not the kind of show that those of us who are inclined to do video essays are going to be able to make video essays for.
Maybe
right?
in the future. I mean,
there, at least as of now, there isn't enough depth there. But I think that doesn't mean it has no value.
If they keep going with Cooper the way that I think they could,
there you go.
See. But I doubt it.
It has value in different areas, and I really like it for that. And I'm just happy it exists. And I'm happy it's not bad. Yeah. And I could probably make a video essay on Z-Blob and why he's the key to everything. You know that meme of the guy with the conspiracy theory board?
Yeah, Z-Blob in the middle.
Everywhere. He's the key to all this.
Blob is the key.
If we can get Z-Blob working.
That's
about all I got.
One more thing I wanted to mention that doesn't directly have anything to do with the show, but I thought it was kind of cool. LEGO has released some really cool videos on their YouTube channel, with like drawing tutorials with Mateo and like a short with Logan explaining some of the episodes, which I think was written by Vincent Tong. And they did an interview thing with like the voice actors, and I think stuff like that is really cool, and I hope they do more stuff like that for Dreams and other LEGO shows too.
Oh, that's sick. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, the marketing in general, they seem to be really trying hard with it.
I hope it works. Let's come out soon.
Can't wait.
We shall see.
Yeah.
That's all I got
for
now.
Also all I got for now.
Yeah.
Anyone has any final remarks? No? All right, then. I thank you all for watching. I hope you had a fun time listening to our thoughts about Dreams. We do plan to do React for part 2 when that comes out, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, we do hope to be back with more BrickFeed soon as well. We're getting a bunch of set drill wheels. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all had a good time and join in next time here on Keep the Peace.